Namaste. Welcome to this chair yoga for the root chakra. So this week we're focusing on the very base chakra of the 7 major chakras that run up the midline of the body. You can see it's the red one here on the meditating person on the wall hanging. And the root chakra is red and associated with red things. I would be wearing red, but this is Thursday and I've already taught a load of root chakra classes this week. So I've worn everything red that I have and have opted for pink as the closest thing. But you can help balance your root chakra by wearing the color red and visualizing the color red as well. The sound associated with it is lam, L-A-M, sometimes pronounced lum, and that's the seed mantra, the vibration of the root chakra. Located in the body around about the bottom of the cervix, perineum, so right at the bottom of our torsos. And it's also associated with the adrenal glands. So when it's in balance, we have that really good balance between being active and being restful. And when it's out of balance, we tend either towards lethargy or towards over anxious, anxiety, adrenaline firing all of the time, stressed basically. So today we're going to do a practice that is balancing for this chakra and also to release any blockages that might be preventing the flow of energy from the base of the body down into the feet. And so we'll do a lot with our feet, but anywhere that we are in contact with support today will be grounding, stabilizing, creating that secure base and foundation that the root chakra is so associated with. Let's begin on our seats, making sure that your feet are flat on the ground or, like mine, on a little bit of a support to lift them up. Rest your hands wherever is comfortable, closing your eyes or gazing gently downward. Feel that sense of inner lift through the center of the body without gripping or holding rigid, just allowing yourself to grow tall in your seat. Notice how your body is feeling before you begin your practice. Notice any areas of the body that perhaps feel a little stuck or stiff or closed, uncomfortable. And as you work through your practice today, be gentle around those areas. Allow them a little extra care and attention. Notice at least one part of the body that feels peaceful, quiet, open, spacious, and at ease. Notice the breath that you're breathing right now. Observe the quality of the breath. Perhaps it's rate or rhythm or depth or sensation. And then when you're ready, you can deepen your breath. And today we always begin with a deeper breath, drawing the breath down into the lungs, the lowest lobe if we can. But that is the breath associated with the root chakra. So we're just going to spend an extra moment or two here. If you want to, you can rest your hands onto your abdomen quite far down. Breathing deeply, feel the breath expand into the lowest part of the rib cage, through the sides of the body, the chest, the back. And as you exhale, gently engage across the navel, allowing a long, deep, and complete exhalation. Breathing in to soften those abdominal muscles, to breathe in deeply from the base of the ribcage all the way up to the top. And as you breathe out, gently engaging to exhale as completely as you can without strain or force. Keep breathing in this way. Long, deep breath in. And a long, slow, steady breath out. Long, deep breath in. Finding your own rhythm to continue. As you breathe, allow the forehead to soften, the shoulders to relax, the jaw to release. Become aware of the contact between your body and your chair, your feet and the floor. At the end of your next exhalation, gently bringing your chin down towards your chest, relaxing your hands if you'd like to, and then rolling your right ear towards your right shoulder, chin back to the chest, and left ear to left shoulder. Just doing these lovely little semicircles in front of the body, feeling how the body responds to that movement, perhaps noticing where you feel a little stiffer, not pressing through stiffness, not overstretching, just gently experiencing the movement the body is really happy and comfortable to make today. If you wish to, you can roll your head in circles, lifting the chin rather than taking the head backwards. If you prefer not to make neck circles, if they feel a bit too crunchy or uncomfortable, then you can simply turn the head from side to side and then take one ear to the shoulder and then the other. If you're circling, going in the opposite direction. Nice, slow, steady movements. The next time your chin comes to your chest, taking the head back to upright, gently opening the eyes if they've been closed and relaxing the arms down to the sides. Rolling in your shoulders, a few times forwards and a few times backwards, or whichever way around, both directions. And then just resting the arms down wherever feels comfortable. Now I'm going to dispense with this little block that I've got in front of me because I really want to get some firm purchase on the floor with my feet. And so if you would like to do the same, you can. We're going to sit towards the edge of our seat and just see if we can activate the foundation of the body, the feet, a little bit more. So perhaps looking down at your feet, perhaps you don't need to. Wriggling your toes, just wriggling them, feeling them interact with the floor, the pads of the toes, the balls of the feet. Very nice. And you can scrunch up the toes so that the very ends of the toes touch the floor, and then spread them out and place them down. We'll do that a few times. Scrunching up, spreading out, placing them down. Scrunching up, spreading out, placing them down. Very good. And then here with our feet on the floor more firmly, we're going to lift one heel and lower and then lift the other. So just going from side to side, feeling the weight of the body now more on the ball of the foot and the pads of the toes as we lift and lower. And if you feel you can manage the coordination, you can do a little side to side so that you always have one heel off the floor. And whatever you're doing, just making sure that it feels good. So if your calf muscles get tight from doing this, just go more slowly. Don't do quite as many. Very good. And here you can also come as high up onto your tiptoes as your ankles allow, because they're not weight bearing the same as they would be if we were on our feet. When you're ready, you can float both heels down. Just wriggle those toes now that they have been in good, strong contact. And then lift the toes up. This is really hard for me to do. So lift the toes up away from the floor, keeping the heels down. I find this slightly easier standing up. And if you'd like to do it standing up, of course you can. Use your chair for support if you need to. But just flapping the feet. A little bit like walking like a duck, lifting the toes, but keeping the heels down. Seeing how much you can do. Seeing if you can feel that sense of putting a little bit of effort into the leg that's supporting the one that's moving away from the floor. Very good. And then coming back to center, and we're going to sit a little bit deeper into our seats, so that our thighs are more supported by the seat itself. You can even lean back into your chair seat if you wish to. You can lift one leg at a time so that you're flexing your foot and releasing. The same thing on the other side. So again, starting nice and slowly, nice, slow, steady movements. Feel the activation of the muscles in the legs. Maybe it feels quite nice to stretch out the back of the calf by flexing your foot. And we'll do a few with a pointed toe as well. So pointing the toe, stretching out those muscles of the front of the shin. Very good. Up and down. Doesn't matter if only your toe tips touch the floor when your foot comes back towards you. That will depend on your length of legs and height of chair. Do one more to this side. And then we're going to do it in a much more free way. So if you want to remain with slow, steady movements, you can. But if you want to, and it won't cause you any distress, you haven't got anything to kick on your chair, you can make a nice free from the floor movement of the legs, just going backwards and forwards. Find your inner small person, inner child, get in touch with them, and enjoy this playful movement of the legs. Very good. And when you're ready, you can bring both feet down again, still sitting back in your seat. You can either lengthen your left leg in front of you and roll at your ankle, or if you prefer a little bit of support, you can hold underneath the back of the left thigh and the foot can point further down. So whichever one of these feels good to you. I like to help to encourage the stability in these thigh muscles by using the leg without holding on. Whichever way you're circling in the opposite direction, whichever technique you're using, and just feeling that full ankle range that you've got, being aware of it. It doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as it feels like you're moving as much as you are comfortably able to do. Very good. We're going to float this leg down now. Just observe the difference between the two sides. Observe the heat in the muscles, the effort that's been made in the body. Let this side relax and then extend or support on the other side and rolling this ankle. Observe whether it's different on this side than the other, the effort that it takes, the range of movement that you have. There's no judgment, we're just observing. Scientists of ourselves. And then going in the opposite direction. Trying to experience that really full range of movement. When we're doing repeated movements like this, sometimes you can lose your awareness and it becomes a little bit lethargic. We're going to try and experience the full range of movement, keep our awareness in that movement as we do it. A few more times. And then relaxing this leg down as well. So hopefully your muscles feel warmed and you're beginning to feel like we're ready to stand onto the legs, but not quite. Okay, so coming a little bit more forward in your seat and taking your feet nice and wide so you really feel that the soles of the feet are on the floor. We're going to sit very tall and then gently take the body around in a circle here. So we're circling the heart around the center of the base of the spine. Feel the activity of the belly muscles, muscles down the sides of the body, muscles in the back of the body, all containing, supporting the movement, providing that firm foundation with the legs and the feet from which we can move. And here, try to avoid keeping your head really rigid. Allow your neck to move as your spine moves. Very good. When you're ready, you can reverse and go in the opposite direction. Again, little bit of action across those belly muscles, maybe even the pelvic floor. Feel what happens in the legs as you move. Feel how active they have to be, how supportive, pressing the feet into the floor. Noticing where your weight changes across the feet. Allowing your head to move with the movement of your spine. One more in this direction. And when you're ready, coming back to center, relaxing a little bit in the lower part of the body. You can bring the feet a touch closer together if you'd like to. And just making sure you're not going to bash anything either side of you, swinging the arms backwards and forwards. It's nearly impossible to work with just one chakra alone in yoga because we move our body in such a cohesive way. But we can certainly focus our intention and our energy in one area at a time. But we find that, you might find rather, that as you work, it's easier to loosen off the shoulders occasionally to balance out the effort that's happening across the pelvis. So a nice little swing here. And then when you're ready, you can allow the movement to become smaller and smaller until you're back to standing steady. Or sitting steady, as the case may be. Okay, so before we get up onto our feet and do some more standing uppy things, taking a moment here just to move your knee in a circle so that you can circle your thigh bone in your hip socket. So this is a movement that we need to stabilize by pressing the opposite foot into the floor, lifting in the belly, and the shoulders, and the crown of the head. And if it doesn't feel right to you, but you'd like to move your hip a little bit, just taking your foot a little bit out to the side, a little bit back to the center. And you can even sit to one side, take your foot a little bit out to the side, point your knee down, and then bring back to center as well. If you're circling, go the opposite way as well. Take a rest if you need to rest. It's quite, it ends up being quite demanding once we've done it for a while. We're going to rest this leg down, just observe the difference between the two sides, and maybe slide that heel away from you just to give a point and flex through that toe. Slide that leg in, prepare for the opposite side, remembering that you can sit to one side if you want to simply move your foot around instead of circling. Firm in the belly, lifting the other knee and circling it, if you choose that one. Now, if you get any clunking or uncomfortable feelings in your hip, then just make a smaller movement. I find actually I get a little clunking on this side. I've always thought the other side was more loose, but it turns out that it's clunky on this side. And that means that we're not pressing through any resistance in the body. We're going to go the opposite direction as well. And this will be very warming for the structures that support the pelvis, but also lubricating, nurturing for those hip joints. Very good. When you're ready, you can float this foot down as well. Notice the difference between the two sides. Perhaps they feel more balanced now. You can extend that leg, maybe point and flex your foot a little bit. And the other thing that you can do, which is quite nice, is to extend both legs, making sure you still feel firmly seated on your seat, and just wave the soles of the feet from side to side. And the knees, a little soft here. And again, that rotates the thigh bone in the hip socket, which has that nurturing, lubricating effect, and lets us loosen off some of the tension associated with the previous practice. So when you're ready, we're going to take the feet back underneath the knees. Make sure you've got your bottom really firmly on your seat. So all of the buttocks and maybe just a touch of the tops of the thighs. And make sure your seat isn't a slide away from you seat, so definitely not one on wheels. We're going to practice standing up, and we're going to do this by hovering a little bit first. So just watching if you're not familiar. Feet firmly planted, nice lift through the belly. We're going to reach the hands forward, take the weight into the toes so we can literally float the buttocks off the seat, and then release the weight back. And as we do, we're going to open the arms wide to open the chest, provide a little lift in the front of the body. So bringing the arms forward to reach forward, let your weight come into your feet, press your feet into the floor, just float the buttocks up and then release back down again. Try to do it nice, steady with control. Open the arms wide, lift your chest. Reaching the hands forward, floating the buttocks off, just that pivoting point. It's that point of balance where the feet come into play, then floating the buttocks back down and opening the arms wide. One more like this. Reaching the arms forward, finding the feet, finding the strength, finding the power, finding the pivot point, and then reaching the buttocks back to the seat, opening wide. And here we're going to take a rest. Just turn the arms down to the side. And roll in your shoulders a little bit, backwards and forwards. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so now we're going to go up to standing and then back down to the seat. So a little strengthening exercise, promoting that independence that we have when we can easily get up and about and down using the strength of our legs. So reaching forward, firming the belly, tipping the body forward until you get that sense that you're on your feet, and then standing tall, pressing the feet into the floor, opening the arms wide, lifting the chest. Bring the hands back in front of the body, bend the knees and bend from your hips. So take your bottom back behind you, lift in the belly. See if you can really slowly and gently plonk your bottom back down again. And you can open your arms at the bottom too. Bring the arms forward, reach forward, have that sense of passing something to someone so you get the weight onto the feet, press into the knees, open the chest, let your hips come forward a little bit, firm in the buttocks, opening wide in the arms, and then bending the knees, sticking your bottom out, reaching the hands forward until you can gently sit back onto your seat. We're going to do 2 more of these. Reaching forward, allowing the weight to come onto the feet to stand tall. The slower and steadier we do it, the even more profound the effect. Opening the chest and then reaching forward again. reaching the bottom backwards at the same time, lifting in the belly. And you can take the arms out to the side at the bottom as well, if you like. Last one, and this time we're going to stay standing upright rather, reaching forward, weight coming onto the feet, pressing the feet into the floor, opening the arms wide, a little firmness in the buttocks to open your chest, open the front of the hips as well, and then come to standing upright, float your arms down to your sides. Awesome stuff. If you need to, give yourself a little bit of a wiggle, loosen off any tension across your body. Let me just move this one out of the way. I'm going to move this one out of the way a little bit as well. So come to standing in a nice free space where you've got not too much around you that you could bash. And we'll do a little Kati Chakrasana, which will help us to get rid of any of the effort that's maybe built up in the areas we've been working with. So step your feet a nice comfortable distance apart, little softness in the knees, and if your toes like to turn out a touch, allow them to do that. First, bouncing into the knees, into the feet themselves to feel that really strong connection down. And then when you're ready, a touch of firmness across the belly and gently twisting from side to side. Here, allow the body to go where it naturally goes. Don't push too far or push through any resistance in the body. Allow the shoulders, arms, and hands to be nice and relaxed. They can wrap the body and tap the body. And as you twist from side to side, become aware of the movement across the sole of the foot. The effect of moving your weight from one side to the other, but also that sensation of perhaps the skin of the sole of the foot just twisting one way and another as well. As you twist, perhaps you're aware of a gentle loosening of the effort in the supporting muscles of the center of the body. Whenever you're ready, and only if you wish to, you can add a little pivot in the toes. Very good. And here you might feel a sense of opening across the hip flexors. They did quite a lot of work while we were making hip circles sitting down. And again, only if you want to, you can add a bend in the knees in the center, bend and twist, bend and twist. Allow your weight to be centered so that the weight comes down into the heels. You're not really swaying. The front of the body or the upper body is not coming down or forward. Or at least as much as possible is not coming down and forward. Whenever you're ready, you can release your bend, so you're simply pivoting on your toes, and then bringing your feet to steadiness, allow the rest of the body to lose its momentum a little at a time until you are standing in the center. Take a moment here to close the eyes or gaze gently downward and observe the effect of your practice so far. How do you feel in your body? What's your heart rate, breath rate like? What sensations do you have? If you need to, you can take a deep breath in and sigh out through the mouth. Very good. Awesome sauce. So while we're here, we're going to do a little more hip action. And we've got the feet a nice distance apart. Just make sure that you haven't got one turned out more than the other or something like that. Sometimes they get skew-iffy after Kati Chakrasana. We're going to take the hands onto the hips, soften the knees, because that helps us to move our pelvis a little bit more, and then make circles with your hips. So here, often we do circles in two ways. We let the body move a lot and we let the body move a little. Today, we're going to focus on not moving the rest of the body if possible. So if you were viewed from the chest upwards, nobody would know what was going on below. using the muscles of the belly, the sides, the back of the body, the buttocks. Allow the hips to move around in circles. Graceful. The effect is a bit like belly dancing, I'm told. Or at least that's the feedback from this week. Everyone's felt a bit belly dancing, so that's all good. As you move, just feel your weight move around the soles of your feet as well. And whenever you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction as well. Being sure to feel the effect of using one buttock, then the other, using the belly muscles at the same time, maybe even focusing a touch on your pelvic floor. I find that if you're using the soles of your feet properly, the pelvic floor is automatically engaged. There we go. Notice if it's easier in this direction than the other. Sometimes you've got one way that feels good. Again, not pressing through any resistance in the body, just allowing the body to move as it wants to today. When you're ready, you can come back to the center, relax the legs a little bit longer. We're going to use our chair to do a downward facing dog, just to release any effort from the low back. So with your hands on the back of your chair, pressing down into the hands and walking your feet just a touch away. You don't want to lean onto the chair, so we don't want the chair to move away. The chair is there to support the upper body. The feet are here to support the lower body. Bending your knees deeply and allow your tailbone to move perhaps a touch behind your heels, scooping the belly in, bringing your torso down towards the floor a little. And if you are able to get parallel to the floor, that's great, but don't worry if you can't. Notice how your feet are. Maybe spread your toes to find that wider base. And here you can gently sway your hips from one side to the other if that feels good, or perhaps you prefer to lengthen through one leg and then the other, which has a different kind of talking through the body. Whichever one of these you prefer, or perhaps holding still and simply breathing, making sure that the backs of the knees are a little soft, so there's no strain in the backs of the legs or the low back. When you're ready, you can bring yourself back to center, take a deep breath in and out, still pressing into the hands, look towards your hands, lifting your chest a little, walk your feet in towards your chair. Take a moment here at the top of the movement to feel the blood can get back to where it's supposed to be. And if you'd like to, you can shake out one leg and then the other. And if you prefer to do this sitting down, then you can do that too. Very good. So we're going to come back to doing some hip circles, of course, because our hips are the connection between our feet and our spine, the rest of our body, or our legs and the rest of our body. So they're really, really important for the base chakra. And they're important also for the second chakra, the sacral chakra, which we will work with a bit next week. So this week, hands on hips, little softness in the knees. We're going to take the left hip forwards, out, back to the center, and then the right hip forwards, out, and back. So this is a figure of 8 with the left hip and then the right hip. And notice now that your hips sway over one foot, your weight over one foot more than the other. A little firmness in the belly, but both feet still supporting. You can press into your feet as you move from side to side. You can go much more slowly if you'd like to. Try not to go too quickly here. Feel that steady movement, the activation of your muscles here and in the back of your body. And you can allow the rest of your body a little bit of more freedom here, or you can keep this movement very contained to the low body and try and keep the shoulders and head quite still, whatever feels good to you. We're going to do a few more in this direction and then try reversing that direction. Now, if that doesn't come naturally, take your right hip back, out, forward, left hip back, forward, as opposed to forward, out, back. Very good. And there'll be one direction that feels less awkward than the other. I have a feeling that I've started our movements with the direction that was less awkward for me, but perhaps this one is less awkward for you. And we're just observing, just noting. Very good. Whenever you're ready, you can bring your hips back to the center. Make any movements that feel good, perhaps a little wriggle of the shoulders. Perhaps here we could rotate through the hands, rotate through the wrists, extending the fingers nice and long. This is always a nice thing to do to balance out the work of the lower body with some in the upper body. Reverse your rotation, going the opposite way. And then bringing the thumbs into the palms, wrapping the fingers around, same thing here. Rolling in the wrists, feeling that nice length that comes across the back of the wrist and into the forearm. And then we can go the opposite way as well. Brilliant for anyone who spends a lot of time at a keyboard, whether that be a piano type of keyboard or a computer type of keyboard. Fantastic. And then when you're done, you can just shake out your wrists, maybe give your arms a little shake backwards and forwards. And all the while, those feet are really supportive, grounding into the floor, stimulating our root chakra. Allowing the arms to rest by the sides. We've been on our feet in this position now for quite some time. So just see if you can have that sense of connection, maybe for a moment, closing the eyes or gazing gently downward, standing tall, noticing all of the parts of your foot that are in contact with the floor. Notice if your weight is balanced between the left and right foot, between the heel and the toe. Feeling steady on our feet is a real gift. And all of the work we're doing today improves that sense of steadiness, our proprioception, our balance, the security we feel in our feet. When you're ready, you can bring your hands to the center of your chest, lift your chest, bring your chin down towards your chest, take a gentle smile, and in your own time, raising your head, opening your eyes, releasing your hands down, and giving your feet a little bit of a shake, or your legs a little bit of a shake. You can do this with your foot still on the floor if that feels better to you. Okay. Super duper. So we're going to work again with our chairs and working at the back of the chair, standing facing onto your chair, where you might want it to ever so slightly to one side to give you a little bit of better range of movement, but it depends if you want both hands on the chair or not. So if you want both hands on the chair, you need to have it centered enough that you don't feel you're twisting your upper body to hold. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to stand facing my chair with my right foot is my standing foot, holding onto the chair with my right hand, left hand on hip, and then point my left toes forwards. Draw a nice circle on the floor with the left toes to come behind the body, maybe even cross over behind the right hip a little, and then come back the way, pointing the toes. Now you don't have to point really fully. You can just allow the toes to graze the floor, keeping the foot a little bit more relaxed, particularly if you get cramp. But if you're able to, keeping a little firmness in the center, trying to keep the rest of the body relatively still as you move from the hip and moving in the leg. Very good. One more like this. And then sliding both feet together. And then we're going to do a little step in each direction. I might need to give myself just a little bit more space. So from here, we're going to step forward with the right foot, left foot even, and then step back to the center, step out to the side, step back to the center, step back behind you, and step back to the center. Hold onto the chair, make small steps if you need to. Stepping forwards and back to center, lifting in the body, stepping out to the side and back to center, stepping back behind you and back to center. This time I want you to see if you can stamp as you step. So stamp the foot into the floor, stamp the foot back, stamp the foot out to the side, stamp the foot back, stamp the foot behind you, and stamp back to center. Very good. And then we'll just take a moment here to allow ourselves to stand on both feet. Maybe we could do a little heel raising while we're at it. So resting your hands on the chair, just coming up onto your tiptoes, floating back onto your heels, maybe taking the toes away from the floor to take your weight onto your heels, back onto the soles of the feet, onto the tiptoes, back with the foot flat, and out back on the heels, and into the center. Bend and stretch the knees. I'm going to swap my chair to the other side. You can just move yourself in a way that works for you. So now the left foot is the standing leg. It's closest to the chair, or you can have the chair more in front of you if that works. Hand onto the hip on the right hip, pointing the right toes forwards, or just relaxing that foot a little if you like. Lift here and gently draw a circle around behind the body, if you can, behind the left hip, and circling your foot around in front. And again, you can come across the left leg in front if you like. The idea here is to make the range of movement that is easily available to you. While stabilizing with your standing leg, you can even keep a little softness in that knee, helps the muscles to work rather than the joints. And really focusing on strengthening those muscles that support the movement of the hip and the leg. We'll maybe do one more on this side because I've completely lost count. Apologies. When you're ready, you can slide both feet back together or towards each other, and we are ready for our stepping motion. So here, still supporting with that left leg, still lifting in the center of the body, stepping the right foot forward and back together, right foot out to the side, back together, right foot behind you and back together. Keep the knees nice and soft. Right foot forward, back together, right foot out to the side, back together, right foot behind you, back together. Now stamping, stamp out to the front, stamp back together, stamp out to the side, stamp back together, stamp behind you, stamp together, and then gently rest. Apologies, it sounds like there's a whole herd of elephants in this room here, and I'm sure that's come over on the speaker as well. So taking a moment to stand on both feet, maybe just wriggle anything that needs wriggling. Maybe we can shake out the arms a little bit here. You can shake your hips a little bit. You can bounce on your knees a little bit. Awesome. Okie dokie. So while we're here and have our chairs, let's do a touch of side bending and twisting before we come to sitting down again. So here, facing onto the chair, first we're going to do this with both feet on the floor, reaching your right hand forward and up and over your head, reaching behind you, nice big circle with that right arm coming back to the center. Let's do two more. Reaching forward and up, firm in the belly, reaching behind you and down. One more like this. Notice if your weight changes across your feet as you come back to center. Lovely. Let's do the opposite side. Reaching the left hand forward and up, reaching behind you and down. Beautiful twist with a lovely long arm. Nice big expressive movements if you can. Nice and firm in the belly, noticing the feet, how supportive they are. what they're up to, where the weight goes. Fantastic stuff. Now we're going to work again with our right side, reaching the right arm up, and this time pressing into both feet and reaching the fingertips up and over towards the left side. We'll come back to the center, not lowering the arm, and then reaching back over to the left side. Keep both feet working, return to center, nice and firm in your belly, reaching over to the left. And then this time, returning to center, turn the right palm out to the side and float your hand down to your side. Very good. Let's do this one on the other side as well. Holding on with the right hand this time, reaching the left hand up. Press down into both feet and then reach the left fingertips over to the right side. Come back to the center. Reaching over to the right. Back to the center, firm in the belly and the buttocks, reaching over to the right. Back to the center, turn your left palm out and float your arm down to your side. Very good. Bend and stretch your knees. And we'll do one more downward facing dog. Why not? Walking your feet away from you. Taking a moment to scoop the belly in, tip through the pelvis, and soften those knees. And here you can either hold, pressing the palms of the hands downwards to find that sense of support, not only in the feet, but also in the hands, not only in the legs, but also in the arms. And if you want to, you can sway your hips from side to side, or bend one knee more and then the other. Whatever works for you, whatever feels like the right thing to do here. Some people prefer to look under one shoulder and then the other, one arm and then the other. In your own time, coming back to center, pressing into the hands to look towards the chair seat, walking your feet in. Take a moment at the top of your movement just to allow all of the blood to get back to where it needs to go. Maybe give your shoulders a bit of a roll. And then we're going to come to sitting down on our seats, and we're going to be moving in the direction of relaxation. So if you want to gather now your blanket or put on some more clothing and socks and things like that, now is the time. So I'm going to gather my blanket here. And today I'm going to be playing a crystal singing bowl during relaxation. So I'm also going to put that close by. It's useful to have your step or block handy if you've been using one. When you come to sitting, just sitting at the front of your seat, not quite ready to relax all the way back yet. Good, everybody looks like they're sorted. So with your feet flat on the floor, pressing into the feet to sit really tall, relaxing the shoulders down, firming in the belly. We're going to breathe in as we take the arms wide. Breathe out, twisting to the right. Take the left hand across the body, the right hand behind you. Roll the shoulder blades towards each other and down the back, feeling that length through the crown of the head. Move your head towards the right as much as feels good for your neck. And then take a deep breath in. And deep breath out. To release, turn to the front with the head only. Unwind the spine, turning a little to the opposite side. And back to the center. Let's do that on the other side as well. Sitting tall, firm in the belly, reaching the arms wide, and then turning towards the left, reaching the right hand to the left thigh, the left hand behind. Draw the shoulder blades down and towards each other, lengthening through the crown of the head, firm in the belly, and gently turning your head as much as feels comfortable and right for you today. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Unwind the head first, turning to the front. Release the hands, unwinding the rest of the spine. Turn a little to the opposite side and back to center. Very good. Now that we have done that, you can wrap yourself up in your blanket. I've chosen a red blanket because I couldn't choose a red outfit. And it really does help to wear red around your base if you feel a little bit out of kilter, off center, unbalanced. Not unbalanced necessarily in a really dramatic way, but not quite yourself. So red knickers, fabulous. Red pants, red socks, brilliant thing to do. Red trousers or skirts, if you can. Any kind of red around anywhere from the navel downwards works very well to further support your base chakra. And with that in mind, let's settle ourselves really far back into the seat, holding the first finger and thumb towards each other, keeping the other fingers long, resting the palms up or down. This is the mudra for the base chakra. Closing your eyes or gazing gently downward if you feel you can't close them. Take a moment to feel that easing of effort. That release of work. The opportunity for rest and restoration. Take a deep breath in and sigh out through your mouth. Repeat 3 more times. A deep breath in, let all of your effort go. A deep breath in, let your muscles begin to relax. A deep breath in, surrender your weight down into the floor and the chair. Allow your breath to find a quieter rhythm, falling into silence. Take your awareness into your forehead, feel it soften, the space between your eyebrows spreading, the area around your eyes releasing, your mouth, tongue, jaw relaxing. Allow the whole of the body to feel that sense of heaviness, releasing, letting go, grounding. Move your awareness to your breathing and notice the breath that you're breathing right now. See if you can gently encourage a deeper breath without strain, almost effortless. Move your awareness to your sense of hearing, your sense of sound. When you hear the sound of the crystal bowl, imagine it's resonating from the very base of your torso. It's deep vibrations moving through the body, healing, restoring, rejuvenating and relaxing your whole body and mind. Become aware of the sound that you hear, the sound within that sound, and follow it to the silence in between. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back to your hands and your feet by moving your fingers and toes, maybe rolling your wrists and your ankles. When you feel ready, take a deep breath in and stretch the arms in any way that feels good. Maybe stretch the legs, maybe stretch the face of you. In your own time, bring your hands back and rest them quite far down on your body. So not over the heart, but over perhaps the area more associated with the root chakra. And take a moment to feel your sense of self. And perhaps in your mind, you can, or out loud if you prefer, you can say, I am, and then your name, or something, some quality about yourself that you enjoy. Take this moment to be grateful for the opportunity to nurture yourself. Self-care is very much part of our root chakra imbalance. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands to palms together at the center of the chest. Take the chin forward towards the chest. Smile to yourself, and in your own time, raise your head and open your eyes. Namaste, guys. Thank you for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed stimulating, balancing, rejuvenating your root chakra. Next time we'll be moving on to the sacral chakra, which is orange. So if you want to wear orange for your next class, then you can. And I'll see you then.